And I would like to start off with history. This poem called History. It's inscribed to Wallace Stanger, and it is in three parts. History by Wendell Berry. The crops were made, the leaves were down, 3 frosts had lain upon the broad stone step beneath the door. As I walked away, the houses were shut, quiet, under their drifting smokes, and the women stooped at the hearths. Beyond the farthest tracks of any domestic beast, my way led me into a place for which I knew no names. I went by paths that bespoke intelligence and memory I did not know. Noonday held sounds of moving water, moving air, enormous stillness of old trees. Though I was weary and alone, song was near me then, wordless and gay as a deer lightly stepping, learning the landmarks and the ways of that land so I might go back if I wanted to. My mind grew new and lost the backward way I stood. At last, long hunter and child. Where this valley opened, a word I seemed to know, though I had not heard it. Behind me, along the crooks and slants of my approach, a low song sang itself, as patient as the light. On the valley floor, the woods grew rich, great poplars, beeches, sycamores, walnuts, sweet gums, lindens, oaks, they stood apart. And open the winter light at rest among them, yes. And as I came down, I heard a little stream pouring into the river. Part 2. Since then, I have arrived here. Many times I have come on foot, on horseback, by boat, and by machine, by earth, water, air, and fire. I came with axe and rifle. I came with a sharp eye and the price of land. I came in bondage, and I came in freedom not worth the name. From the high outlook of that first day, I have come down 200 years across the worked and wasted slopes by eroding tracks of the joyless horsepower of greed. Through my histories, despite and ruin, I have come to its remainder, and here have made the beginning of a farm intended to become my art of being here. By it I would instruct my wants, they should belong to each other and to this place until my song comes here to learn its words. My art is but the hope of a song. Part 3. All the lives this place has had, I have. I eat my history day by day. Bird, butterfly, and flower pass through the seasons of my flesh. I dine and thrive on offal and old stone, and am combined within the story of the ground. By this earth's life I have its greed and innocence, its violence, its peace. Now let me feed my song upon the life that is here, that is the life that is gone. This blood has turned to dust and liquefied again in stem and vein 10,000 times. Let what is in the flesh, O Muse, be brought to mind. Just gotta let that resonate. Hmm. That line especially. I came in bondage, and I came in freedom not worth the name. Calls upon us to reevaluate our conceptions of freedom and what the freedom we have means, I guess. And when our freedom is really something else, perhaps. I'd have to think about that. There's another line in there that I really liked. What was it? It was in that first section. Yeah, the enormous stillness of old trees. That's wonderful description. And hmm, okay, let's read. Um, he has this small series about the mad farmer. I don't know if I'd call it a series, but a thematic chain, perhaps. About his persona, the mad farmer. The contrariness of the mad farmer. I am done with apologies. If contrariness is my inheritance and destiny, so be it. If it is my mission to go in at exits and come out at entrances, so be it. I have planted by the stars in defiance of the experts, and tilled somewhat by incantation and by singing, and reaped, as I knew, by luck and heaven's favor. In spite of the best advice, if I have been caught so often laughing at funerals, that was because I knew the dead were already slipping away, preparing a comeback, and can I help it? And if at weddings I have gritted and gnashed my teeth, it was because I knew where the bridegroom had sunk his manhood, and knew it would not be resurrected by a piece of cake. Dance, they told me, and I stood still, and while they stood quiet in line at the gate of the kingdom, I danced. Pray, they said, and I laughed, covering myself in the earth's brightnesses, and then stole off gray into the midst of a revel, and prayed like an orphan. When they said, I know that my Redeemer liveth, I told them he's dead. And when they told me God is dead, I answered, he goes fishing every day. In the Kentucky River, I see him often. When they asked me, would I like to contribute, I said no, and when they had collected more than they needed, I gave them as much as I had. When they asked me to join them, I wouldn't, and went off by myself and did more than they would have asked. Well then, they said, go and organize the International Brotherhood of Contraries, and I said, did you finish killing everybody who was against peace? So be it. Going against men, I have heard at times a deep harmony thrumming in the mixture, and when they ask me what, I say I don't know. It is not the only or the easiest way to come to the truth. It is one way. And I guess there are many ways to come to the truth, but I'm not an authority on truth. I don't really know any truths, do I? Well, I don't think I do. Maybe. Manifesto, the Mad Farmer Liberation Front. Love the quick profit, the annual raise, vacation with pay, want more of everything ready made, be afraid to know your neighbors and to die. And you will have a window in your head. Not even your future will be a mystery anymore. Your mind will be punched in a card and shut away in a little drawer. When they want you to buy something, they will call you. When they want you to die for profit, they will let you know. So, friends, every day do something that won't compute. Love the Lord, love the world, work for nothing. Take all that you have and be poor. Love somebody who does not deserve it, denounce the government and embrace the flag. Hope to live in that free republic for which it stands. Give your approval to all you cannot understand. Praise ignorance, for what man has not encountered, what he has not destroyed. Ask the questions that have no answers. Invest in the millennium. Plant sequoias. Say that your main crop is the forest that you did not plant, that you will not live to harvest. Say that the leaves are harvested when they have rotted into the mold. Call that profit. Prophecy such returns. Put your faith in 2 inches of humus that will build under the trees. Every 1,000 years, listen to carrion. Put your ear close and hear the faint chattering of the songs that are to come. Expect the end of the world. Laugh. Laughter is immeasurable. Be joyful. Though you have considered all the facts, so long as women do not go cheap for power, please women more than men. Ask yourself, will this satisfy a woman satisfied to bear a child? Will this disturb the sleep of a woman near to giving birth? Go with your love to the fields, lie easy in the shade, rest your head in her lap, swear allegiance to what is nighest your thoughts. As soon as the generals and the politicos can predict the motions of your mind, lose it. Leave it as a sign to mark the false trail. The way you didn't go, be like the fox who makes more tracks than necessary, some in the wrong direction. Practice resurrection. That poem makes me smile. I feel a lot better after reading that poem. Um, man, he works in aphorism so much here. That's a dangerous game to play as a poet, and he pulls it off so seamlessly, so effortlessly. Um, and all of these, the tempo, the cadence, um, so lucid and so easy to read. Um, the scheme, the rhythm of his poetry, Wendell Berry, just fantastic. Really, really nice on the tongue. Um, and you are not looking at the poem, the written words, but the enjambment he uses and the line breaks are brilliant. He's very, very good at that. Um, and I am learning a lot from him as I read it. Laughter is immeasurable. I like that. What else? Take all that you have and be poor. Love somebody who does not deserve it. Very Christian line of thinking. Which I appreciate. Not being necessarily a Christian myself, but liking their philosophy and their approach to the world. Um, there's something else I'm wondering here. Okay, let's read this poem, Rising, for Kevin Flood. Part 1. Having danced until nearly time to get up, I went on in the harvest, half lame with weariness, and he took no notice and made no mention of my distress. He went ahead, assuming that I would follow. I followed. Dizzy, half blind, bitter, with sweat in the hot light, he never turned his head. A man well known by his back. In those fields, in those days, he led me through long rows of misery, moving like a dancer. Ahead of me, so elated he was and able, filled with desire for the ground's growth. We came finally to the high, still heat of 4 o'clock, a long time before sleep. And then he stood by me and looked at me as I worked, just looked, so that my own head uttered his judgment, even his laughter. He only said, that social life doesn't get down the road, does it, boy? Part 2. I worked by will then, he by desire. What was ordeal for me, for him was the order and grace, ideal and real. That was my awkward boyhood, the time of his mastery. He troubled me to become what I had not thought to be. 3. The boy must learn the man whose life does not travel along any road toward any other place, but is a journey back and forth in rows, and in the rounds of years his journey's end is no place of ease but the farm itself, the place day labor starts from, journeys in, returns to the fields, whose past and potency are one. For, and that is our story, not of time, but the forever, returning of events and of light, ancient knowledge seeking new minds, the man at dawn in spring of the year, going to the fields, visionary of seed and desire, is timeless as a star. 5. Any man's death could end the story, his mourners, having accompanied him to the grave through all he knew, turned back, leaving him complete. But this is not the story of a life. It is the story of lives, knit together, overlapping in succession, rising again from grave after grave. For those who depart from it, bearing it in their minds, the grave is a beginning. It has weighted the earth with sudden new gravity, the enrichment of pain. There is a grave, too, in each survivor. By it, the dead one lives. He enters us, a broken blade, sharp, clear as a lens or a mirror. And he comes into us helpless, tender as the newborn enter the world. Great is the burden of our care. We must be true to ourselves. How else will he know us? Like a wound, grief receives him. Like graves, we heal over and yet keep as part of ourselves the severe gift. By grief more inward than darkness, the dead become the intelligence of life. Where the tree falls, the forest rises. There is nowhere to stand but in absence, no life but in the fateful light. Ended. A story is history. It is in time with time lost. But if a man's life continues in another man, then the flesh will rhyme its part in immortal song. By absence he comes again. There's a kinship in the fields that gives to the living the breath of the dead, the earth. Opened in the spring, opens in all springs. Nameless, ancient, many-lived, we reach through ages with the seed. Wendell Berry. I have a copy of Piece of Wild Things from Penguin Classics. Or, nope, just Penguin Books. Um, yeah, that poem. That poem. What can we learn from it? Rising for Kevin Flood. Um, yeah, so much about mentorship and growth. And then this connection with ancient patterns and rhythms that really speak to our humanity. If you consider the advent of agriculture, of course, that isn't fundamental to our humanity. We were hunter gatherers for 2.5 million years ish. Um, but but the idea of, even as hunter gatherers, connection to nature, to the seed, to the spring of the year when things begin to grow. Um, and then he writes, how did I lose it? Keep losing this poem. Yeah. Well, it wasn't in this poem. It was in the last one. It was in The Contrariness of the Mad Farmer. He will plant his crop by stars, by the rotations of stars. Yeah, I've planted by the stars in defiance of the experts, and tilled somewhat by incantation and by singing, and reaped, as I knew, by luck and heaven's favor. But it is not luck, it is knowledge, is attune, attuning yourself with the rhythms of nature. Um, yes. And, oh, we had it here. The man at dawn in the spring of the year. Okay, yeah. Returning events of light, ancient knowledge seeking new minds. This is not esoteric and abstract. This is real, but it has been forgotten. And Wendell Berry is teaching us how to attune with this and learn how the world operates again. Um, all right, let's read one more. Not this. Ooh, I like this one. Okay. Planting Crocuses by Wendell Berry. I made an opening to reach through the blind into time, through sleep and silence to new heat, a new rising, a yellow flower opening in the sound of bees. Deathly was the giving of that possibility to a motion of the world that would bring it out bright in time. My mind pressing in through the earth's dark motion toward bloom, I thought of you, glad there is no escape. It is this we will be turning and returning to. Hmm. That kind of makes me think of my triptychs. I like to write in 3-part poems from time to time. I think Untitled Love and Clouds was the last one I wrote. It's in that form, and this kind of makes me think of that. Martin's joined us. How are you doing, Martin? I'm doing all right. I'm pretty tired today. Um, so we're just chilling out with some Wendell Berry. Um, and you know what? We'll read a few more, because you need to get away from Street Fighter. Um, I've been there. I've been there myself. um, this one looks good. The Sycamore for Henry Caudill. In the place that is my own place, whose earth I am shaped in and must bear, there is an old growing tree, a great sycamore that is wondrous, a healer of itself. Fences have been tied to it, nails driven into it, hacks and whittles cut in it, the lightning has burned it. There is no year it has flourished in that has not harmed it. There is a hollow in it that is its death, though its living brims whitely at the lip of the darkness that flows outward. All over its scars has come the seamless white of the bark. It bears the gnarls of its history. Healed over, it has risen to a strange perfection in the warp and bending of its long growth. It has gathered all accidents into its purpose. It has become the intention and radiance of its dark fate. It is a fact sublime, mystical, and unassailable. In all the country there is no other like it. I recognize it in a principle, an indwelling the same as itself and greater, that I would be ruled by. I see that it stands in its place and feeds upon it, and is fed upon, and is native and maker. Yeah, I just randomly flipped to that poem. Um, and the funny thing about poems is sometimes you randomly find the very thing you need. Um, yeah, the healer of itself. There's there's this scene, okay, from the Wes Anderson film, The Darjeeling Limited, where I don't know character names. He takes off all of his bandages from his face, and you see his wounds, and he says, "I guess I have more healing to do." And I've been feeling like that a lot recently. And this poem kind of gives voice to that. Um, I love sycamore trees. I think they're wonderful. Um, and just just the way trees heal and endure, and in each season something flourishes in that also is bears scars. Um, hmm, guess we have to thank Wendell Berry for giving voice to these deep feelings. Um, Now I was thinking about this. I was thinking about poetry earlier today, and poetry gives liberation to feel pain from time to time. I think that's very important. Um, it allows you to embrace with others and understand that what you are feeling is not isolated, um, and that what you are feeling is not unprecedented. There's that Dostoevsky quote or whatever. Who was it? I don't know. But yeah, very important. I haven't read Beckett, but I know Malloy is um, wonderful, and I will read that as soon as I have an opportunity to. Thanks for that reference, Martin. I will put it down on my list. Yeah, people become numb in order to succeed. Yeah, that's right, Martin. I think that's very much a product of um, materialistic reductionism and the capitalistic system, probably, most likely. I'm speculating. I think people have always made themselves numb in order to succeed. Um, but I think there's something of a balance to it that can be struck. Um, if we look at Marcus Aurelius, he teaches us how to do that productively without losing our humanity. Um, so, yeah, yeah, liberation to feel pain. We are allowed to feel pain. That's what the literary renaissance is all about. That's the punk poetry. You're allowed to feel pain. It's what the overlords don't want you to know. All right, let's read a couple of more, and then I'm going to go to sleep. Oh, perfect. I'm on the perfect page. Shout outs. Yeah, Martin. Shout out Martin. Shout out Benno. Shout out Ian Katnack. Um, they definitely need my shout outs. The Heron. While the summer's growth kept me anxious in planted rows, I forgot the river where it flowed, faithful to its way, beneath the slope where my household has taken its laborious stand. I could not reach it even in dreams, but one morning at the summer's end, I remember it again, as though its being lifts into mind an undeniable flood. And I carry my boat down through the fog, over the rocks, and set out. I go easy and silent, and the warblers appear among the leaves of the willows, their flight like gold thread, quick in the live tapestry of the leaves. And I go on until I see, crouched on a dead branch sticking out of the water, a heron, so still that I believe he is a bit of drift hung dead above the water. And then I see the articulation of feather and living eye, a brilliance I receive beyond my power to make, as he receives in his great patience the river's providence. And then I see that I am seen, still as I keep, I might be a tree for all the fear he shows. Suddenly I know I have passed across to a shore where I do not live. Hmm. I saw a heron the other day. It was very inspiring, but I can't remember where I saw it, problematically. Yeah, thank you, Martin. is definitely Wendell Berry. He is so easy to read. Um, and I've gotten better at reading by doing these, just by practicing, which has been kind of fun progression to see in myself. But his the cadence of these poems and the language he uses just fits my reading style very well. It's so fun. Okay. And to cap off a pretty good night of reading, we're gonna read Awake at Night. Late in the night I pay the unrest I owe to the life that has never lived and cannot live now. What the world could be is my good dream and my agony when, dreaming it, I lie awake and turn and look into the dark. I think of a luxury in the sturdiness and grace of necessary things, not in frivolity that would heal the earth and heal men. But the end, too, is part of the pattern, the last labor of the heart, to learn to lie still, one with the earth, again, and let the world go. Mm. Lie still in the end and let the world go. So good. Yeah. He was just, I think he's still alive. I can't remember. He's in his 90s now. But what an enlightened character. What a spirit. Um, what a privilege to share a country with him and share a tradition with him. Yeah. I need to closely read these and go back through. Um, would it be narcissistic to listen to myself read them? Probably. But it would be a good way to, I don't know, revisit them. Um, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Martin. Um, really appreciate all the kind words. I'm gonna be gone. I'm gonna be gone for a few days this weekend, but I should have a show. A show. I called a show tomorrow. Um, oh, I was just winding down. Rhiannon, you just got here. We'll read one last poem just for you. Just for you. I appreciate it. And, of course, we'll read The Piece of Wild Things to end it. Okay, this is The Piece of Wild Things by Wendell Berry, the title poem. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their life. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. I read that so poorly. Let me restart. The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Mm. I don't think I need any more things, any more words um, to elaborate on that. It says it all. Thank you, everyone. I'm tired. Good night.